Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fra la 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 la. Merry Christmas, everybody. Today I have a present for all you horror fans out there. Oh, I cannot wait. I'm like a kid in a candy store right now. Something I've said many times on this show, but this, oh, I can't wait. I am interviewing Lori Cardille. Sarah from Day of the Dead. Yes. Oh, I can't wait. She's like my favorite of all the Living Dead girls from George Romero's trilogy. I love her. She is a tough, independent, tomboy kind of a girl in that movie, and she's got one of the best lines. Yes, sir. Fuck you, sir. Love that line. Classic. And I'm going to be interviewing her in just a few moments. Oh, this is going to be awesome. It's Christmas time, and I am so happy. Today's Sunday, December 17th, 1 week before Christmas Eve. Totally radical. Okay, let me get the interview started then.
Hello?
Lori?
Tommy?
Hey, we are live.
Oh, we're live. Wow. That's amazing. You mean your audience is listening right now?
Well, they're not listening right now. I'm recording it is what I'm doing.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool. Wonderful.
Yeah.
How are you, Tommy?
Oh, I have kind of a food coma because I just ate.
Oh, no. Well, I have kind of a little hangover sorts because the Steelers lost to the New England, and it was pretty rough.
Oh, that's no good.
Yeah, we're like Steelers country. Sorry, everybody there, whoever's listening to this, but it's Steelers all the way in my household.
Oh, it is such an honor, Lori, because you have always been my favorite of the original Living Dead girls, and your book was so inspiring to me.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry that it was inspiring, and in a sense that means you suffered also. So, you know, my heart is with you too.
Thank you.
It sure is coming out now. I mean, a lot of stuff about the sexual harassment, and although my situation was at the hands of my uncle, who was a pedophile when I was younger, it is definitely activating for everybody right now what's going on. And you know, people always say, well, you were in this wonderful horror movie. I said, yeah, but you know what? I know what horror is, real horror. So
yeah.
I'm glad I got to write that and put it out there for people to help them. It helped me to write it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I remember listening to the Day of the Dead commentary many years ago and finding out that your father was a horror host in Philly.
In Pittsburgh.
In Pittsburgh, sorry.
Yeah, in Pittsburgh. He was one of the first horror hosts in the country, actually. His name is Chili Billy, for all of those people that are listening that know Pittsburgh, or grew up in Pittsburgh, because we seem to be all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, Dad had a show called Chiller Theater, and it was on for, I think, 30 years, something like that.
Wow.
In fact, Pittsburgh was the last market. My dad was on NBC affiliate. Was the last market to run Saturday Night Live because it was so popular. People didn't want them to change it, so it was quite a popular show. And Dad was a wonderful man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I finally saw him on YouTube about 10 years ago, and I remember a couple local guys that we had in the Bay Area when I was a kid. They were very, in hindsight, very derivative of him. They were just regular guys, and they had a dry sense of humor, you know. And I think your father was a pioneer of that because at that time, most of the horror hosts was like, you know, taken from a horror movie character like Vampira or Sinister Seymour. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think he pioneered the regular guy hosting because then not only did we have these guys, but we also had Rhonda Shear and Gilbert Gottfried on USA Up All Night and Joe Bob Briggs. And no doubt they were characters too, but they were in a different class other than horror.
Right. right. And my dad, he used to have the airways to himself, basically. And at the end of Joey, he always played 2 horror movies.
Right.
And he was himself, Joey Billy, Bill Cardille. He was dressed in a tuxedo, or in the 60s, it was one of those black suits with a skinny tie. And he would sit there and just talk to the audience at the end of the show. And so you could be up at 2:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, and just be watching my dad smoking his cigarette, on a stool with the black light on him, with one spot on him in the black background. Maybe talking about the pirates or things that happened in life and the time, political. It was just a wonderful conversation with him. Dad had such a way with his personality coming through the television. He was kind, and people felt that. And so he was a nice presence walking people through the scary movies,
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm an aspiring horror host, and I actually talked to a producer a couple months ago to do something for Retro TV, but I haven't heard back yet. I'm hoping he's not judging my social media following like a lot of producers do nowadays.
No, I don't know. Oh, boy. Yeah, you have to be careful nowadays. Although I'm kind of out of control these days, so I just say what I mean and mean what I say. I've decided not to be as politically correct or whatever.
Oh, I love you even more now, Lori, because I'm not politically correct.
Good. Well, I'm just old, so, being an older woman, you just don't care anymore.
Yeah.
You don't care about being dainty or whatever, or having to, my reputation is my reputation, and my work is my work, and I have a lot to say. When you get to be my age, you just, as a woman, I think that it's just a wonderful thing because you are like a crone, like an old crone. It's like the ladies in the teepee that take care of their kids, children, and the men are still out hunting, and these wise old women are sitting around under the teepee and, just saying it like it is. And that's kind of how I feel with my girlfriend. It's nice. I like being my age.
Yeah, my mother is in her 60s, and she's more politically incorrect now than she was when I was growing up, because if you even swore in our house, she would smack you in the face. But it's not like that anymore.
Oh, no. Well, that's good. I know we kind of trained my parents, too. I was the oldest. My brother Billy was next. He's a few years younger than Maria's 10 years younger than me. There's 3 of us. And I have to say, boy, did we teach them how to be degenerate.
Yeah. That's so awesome. I was looking through your credits, and you were on Ryan's Hope.
I was. Well, at first I was on a show called The Edge of Night.
Right.
And that was the first job I got out of college. I went to Carnegie Mellon University to study theater here in Pittsburgh, and moved to New York, and then I got that job. Barry played the character of Winter Austin, and she was an ex-porno with a heart of gold.
Uh-huh.
And then, so I was on there for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then I was asked to be on Ryan's Soap. They wanted me to sign a contract, but I didn't want to get stuck in the soap. It was a wonderful training ground for a young actress.
Right.
But I didn't want to get stuck in them. I wanted to do other things. So I was on it for about 6 months, and I played a character named Carol Baker, who was a ex-hooker with a heart of gold. So, it was a similar character and fun to play.
Were you on the same time as Kelly Maroney?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I was on with Meg Hellberger.
Mm-hmm.
She was on. What was it? She was on Ryan's Hope, right? She was on Ryan's Hope.
Yeah.
There were a lot of. She's a wonderful actress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kelly was on from 79 to 81, and then she left for a year, and then she came back for most of 82.
We may have just missed each other. It's possible, but like I said, I was only there 6 months because I wanted to move on, and it was a nice little stint. I learned how to work in front of a camera. I learned how to learn lines quickly, to It's a great experience. It was a great experience for young actors.
Oh, I heard it's tough. You go through 100 pages of dialogue a day, and they don't stop filming.
It's intense. Well, our show, I think it was a half-hour show, but they would film it we'd rehearse it in the morning, do a run at different stages all throughout the day, run-throughs and things. But it was shot like it was live, even though it wasn't live, like your show right now. But what we would do is there was a big studio, and there were different sets, and they would literally, do the one scene, move to the next set, as if during the commercial break, and then move to the next set. So it was like doing live theater in a way, which was fun.
And then you did a TV movie of the week called Parole, which was one of Ellen Barkin's first movies.
Yes, yeah, it was great. She's such a great actress. It was me and James Naughton and myself were the two characters that were going to be the regulars on the show. James Naughton he played a parole officer, and I was a flautist with the Boston Symphony. And so it was about the artist and the parolee. And it was Robert Stigwood's, they produced it, and the police did the music. It was beautiful. And what happened was when they were testing it, they did play the movie a lot as a film. Ellen Barkin was the star of that episode. And anyway, what happened was it was about you know how there's so many crime shows now. This show was way ahead of its time. And when they tested it, the reason it didn't go to series, we shot it in Boston, is because they said that it was going to be, they didn't think the audience wanted to see Con of the Week. And little did they know that they were just ahead of their time. And it was, a little disappointing, but it was a wonderful movie that ended up being on television on CBS. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, Ellen's a great actress.
Was she good to work with?
Yes, she was fun. She was just an outrageous kind of full of life and vigor and talent, and I enjoyed watching her. I was kind of shy back then, and it was great to see somebody that was my age that was so sure of herself, so charismatic.
Yeah,
I remember thinking that at the time, because I was like I said, I was just a little more insecure and playing the girl next door kind of stuff then. Well, even though I was the hooker with heart of gold, I say kind of
Yeah.
I love San Francisco, by the way. Gosh, I love it.
Oh, I love it before 2010. It hasn't been the same in about 7 years.
Just because so many people have moved there?
So many people, yeah, and the Silicon Valley boom, and just, all the local businesses I grew up going to are now becoming unaffordable housing or, tech offices and all that stuff. It's really sad.
Yes, it is. That does happen when success happens to an area, doesn't it? I mean, it seems like all the cities go through that to some degree. And I remember when I lived in New York, I lived on the Upper West Side. We still have a place there, but when I was there full time, the Upper West Side was all artists, and it was kind of gritty and interesting, New York in the 80s. And what happens is then all the artists are there, doing their thing, and then the wealthier people want to come and look at the artist's art, and then the people start going to the restaurants that are nice, and they make them more popular. And then people keeps coming in, and then all of a sudden the little stores, the mom and pop stores and the little boutiques, they go away, and the chains come in, and then the chains take over, it gets homogenized, and then it sort of loses its character, and rents go up. And yeah, I saw it happen in my backyard.
And not to mention that was the you were there during the time when Trump was building his famous building.
Oh, right, on the West Side. Yes, I was. He was kind of a joke then. Quite honestly, he was a joke.
Oh, I've watched old interviews and clips of like 60 Minutes from like the 80s, right? He was doing stuff then that he's doing now. The only difference is he's like mentally lost it. He was a lot more reasonable then, you know?
Right. He was always an egomaniac, though.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
And he knew how to manipulate the press and all that. But he really was a joke. I mean, somebody that you just, oh my God, just had no taste or class or.
No.
I don't know. He was always in the paper, and it's like, oh, this guy is so sleazy.
Oh yeah, people saw him.
He still is.
Oh yeah, people saw him walking the streets of New York, and they'd say hi to him, and he would just be rude and all that.
Yeah, he's not a very nice person, I don't think. He certainly has divided our country, and he has no ability to be kind to people, it seems, except if it's in his own interest. So we can go on and on about this, but
let's.
I shouldn't, because there's probably a lot of people that don't agree, and that's okay too, and that's a good thing.
Yeah,
it makes our country so great.
Yeah, you did Day of the Dead. This is my least favorite of the original trilogy, but I've always loved your performance in it because...
Okay, bye. No, I'm kidding. I always say to smart people like Day of the Dead, come on now. No, I understand. I do. I mean, they're all wonderful films, and they all stand in their own right. And at the time, we were horribly disappointed that people expected Dawn of the Dead more when it came out, and it just had nothing to do with it. It was so different. It was so bleak, and it kind of came and went.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just with time that people have revisited it and saw what George, was trying to do, and it was George's favorite of the three, actually. But I think part of that too is because we all had so much fun, and a lot of us came from the theater. George and I went to the same university and had the same kind of training, and we just had a wonderful time. We were in dire conditions in Wampum, Pennsylvania, in a limestone cave for 3 months, and we got very close, and we're all good friends to this day, which is why it's been so sad that George Romero passed away. We're all mourning his death.
I was crying for a couple of days after that because I never got to meet him, and I was about to. I was about to meet him at that convention that you all were going to be at in San Jose, the Famous Monsters.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they got canceled because of the stupid fire. Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I was so sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew George was sick then. He had canceled, I guess, all his shows at that point. He visited. My dad died last summer. 2016, and George lived in Toronto, and I think he was in Florida, or he was doing a show in the South, and he drove up with his wife Susan, and they came up to visit my father. He died 2 weeks later, but he came to visit my dad, and it was something else to, and I asked the people in Pittsburgh, on my Facebook page to, write to my dad and say what they meant to him, what he meant to them, as when they were children and all through life in Pittsburgh. And he got letters. My dad got letters from all over the world because the Pittsburgh Press picked it up. It was on the front page of the paper.
Right.
It went viral. We got letters from Saudi Arabia, from all over. From Asia. It was so nice those last weeks to just read those letters to my dad. To let him know he was so appreciated. And I cry all the time still. But,
yeah.
He deserves every tear, quite honestly, and so does George. And, it's kind of an end of an era.
Yeah, and then, a month later, Tobe Hooper died, and then the next month, I went to Son of Monsterpalooza convention in Burbank, and I talked to some of the fans. They were pretty disappointed. There was no tribute to either of them for like a tribute panel or something. They were disappointed, and I wrote a couple emails to the organizer like after that weekend was over and said, "You guys better do something, next spring because a lot of fans were angry about that, myself included."
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
You've been honored all over the place, though. I think and continue to be. I went to Manchester, England, and they did a great tribute to George and my father. Mm-hmm. And Day of the Dead is a pretty big hit, and it always did well in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
And, it was really fun being over there, and the tributes were very, very moving, and, it was a great, great trip.
Yeah. What I like about Sarah, she's got this this tomboy quality to her. She's very independent, much more independent than Judith and Galen were in the previous ones. And I've been around tomboys my whole life. All my friends are girls, and my parents brought me up to respect women, And so I've always resonated with Sarah.
Oh, how nice! Isn't that cool? Mm-hmm. What a great character George wrote. I must say, during that time, she was really a lot of young women come up to me and they've done papers. One woman did a PhD actually on strong women in the horror genre, and Sarah, the character of Sarah, was one of the first ones that was. Well, actually, she was the first strong female character in that genre. As it was like Sigourney Weaver had done Alien around that time, and of course, our budget was 20 times less than that, and it was a horror movie compared to sci-fi, but it was a similar, the strong woman coming out in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And that was quite an honor to play a part like that. Really great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved it. Mm-hmm.
When it came out, people thought it was kind of dark and talky compared to the first two, and it is, but your performance saves it, though, I have to say.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
That's really nice. I appreciate that.
My favorite line is when you say, "Yes, sir, fuck you, sir."
That's my favorite line, too. And if I meet you out there and I sign an autograph, that's what I usually put on my autograph.
I want that signature on my poster I got.
You got it. You got it.
I got a really cool Day of the Dead poster.
Oh, neat. Oh, good. Well, I hope we get to meet in person.
Yeah.
We'll figure out something about getting that signed. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'll talk to you on email.
Yeah, I tried reaching out to George's widow about hosting a couple of screenings and Q&As of the Dead trilogy, but I never heard back. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to do panel hosting too.
Oh, great. Yeah, I love the guys at the cons that do panel hosting. They're very knowledgeable, like yourself, and ask great questions, and it's a wonderful. The horror genre has the best fans. I've learned so much from them. I was never, even though my dad had the show of Chiller Theater, I was kind of a scaredy cat little girl. And I didn't want to watch my dad's show because I was afraid. I never understood why people wanted to be afraid. But when I got to do Day and, play such a terrific role, I was able to appreciate it on a whole new level. And then went out and met the fans in all these years.
Yeah.
I just learned so much from them, and I've become a horror fan. I really love the genre, and, there's some wonderful young directors out there, and I can't wait to see Guillermo I could never say his first name, Guillermo del Toro's new movie.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. I just think he's great. I love Danny Boyle, and just some wonderful directors.
I have a horror script I'm trying to sell. I really surprised myself. I worked really hard on it, and if it sells, I think it's going to be very successful.
Oh, great!
It's a homage to 80s like supernatural slasher movies like Nightmare on Elm Street and Phantasm.
Right. Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah,
it's a lot. That's the thing. I mean, it creates such creativity watching these films.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth to the horror genre, and some of them, Mm-hmm. It's just the human condition and how we suffer and how we sublimate our suffering and our fear, through a story.
Yeah.
It's great.
Last night I watched your episode of Tales from the Dark Side.
Oh, yeah. That was crazy. I was crazy.
Yeah.
That was another fun part. I liked that. That was fun. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
Did George ask you to do that?
It wasn't George. I think, I don't remember how that happened. I think it was Richard Rubenstein, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But, yes, and that was a cool little part. I enjoyed that. The whole Tales from the Dark Side's fun. I still like to watch the old Twilight Zone, the old Outer Limits.
Me too.
Do you have Me TV over there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm up late at night. I watch that stuff. I've seen them all. I love them all. I still love them. In fact, my son-in-law is Dana Ashbrook, and he's known for Twin Peaks, and
right.
He just actually did the Twin Peaks. He's a wonderful actor. Mm-hmm. He did an Outer Limits once. He told me, and we watched some of it. It was really fun.
Nice.
Yes, he was in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh yeah, I love Return of the Living Dead. Yeah.
He's done a lot of horror movies, he said. Mm-hmm. But he's mostly known for his work on Twin Peaks, mm-hmm. which is David Lynch is phenomenal, of course. And I really enjoyed the series. I went to school with Mark Frost.
Oh.
At Carnegie Mellon, yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of talent.
Yeah. That's a good episode you were in because it's got this like supernatural story about adultery.
Mhm. Yes, and ghosts and insane asylums, and is she really crazy or not? And yeah, it was another kind of cool female part. When I was working in theater, I did a lot of. I'm tall, and as you can hear, my voice is rather low. And so it lends itself to kind of a stronger kind of leading lady type. And mm-hmm. it was a wonderful time in my 20s and 30s to do those parts. What's nice now is I'm a crone, and I get to do these character parts. I'm just getting back into the business now. Mm-hmm. It's a long story how I left it and came back. I wanted to raise my children.
Right.
And I was always on a set or doing a play somewhere, and I met my husband in New York, and we decided to come back to Pittsburgh to raise our kids, because when I shot Day of the Dead, we shot it actually it's a suburb outside of Pittsburgh, and we both mm-hmm. got a sense of what it was like to have both sets of grandparents. Mm-hmm. And my son was born 4 years later after I did Day of the Dead, and we came here to Pittsburgh, and I'm glad I did, because my children are very talented, good people. They live in New York. My son is a producer. He worked at HBO Sports for a long time. His name is Jake Rogal, and he has his own company now. He just finished a documentary on Andre the Giant. Uh-huh. That's going to be on HBO.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And did you hear about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite a story. I'm so looking forward to it to air. Mm-hmm. My father also had a show called Studio Wrestling. Pittsburgh, being a steel town, shot in a beer town.
Right.
The wrestling was a big deal here in the 60s. We had Bruno Sammartino and Crusher Lazowski, and it was the northeastern section of the wrestling world. There were different sections across the country.
Yeah.
And my father was, the host. He would do the wrestling show in the early evening, and then Chiller a few hours later on a Saturday night. And that was really cool. That was a big part of my life, was wrestling. So it's really cool that my son Jake, produced this documentary with his partner. My daughter Kate Rogal is an artist. She's married to Dana Ashbrook, and she's an actress.
Mm-hmm. I've seen her in a couple
very
things.
Accomplished, yeah. She's an accomplished artist. She was in Psych, and she did a lot of stuff. But Katie is super talented, too, and I'm just proud of my kids. And so I'm really happy that I raised my children and took time off. And now I'm the crowing back doing crow parts, and it's kind of fun.
Yeah. At least you're proud of that role, you know. I mean, I tried to get Galen Ross to do an interview on here, and she's kind of the Michael Nesmith of the cast of Dawn of the Dead. Sometimes she wants to look back on it, and sometimes she doesn't. And right now, she doesn't.
I had fun with. I was with Galen. I was with Galen and Judy O'Day.
Yeah, I met Judy.
Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the three of us, for the first time, we did a show together. It was really fun being with them. And Tom Savini was with us.
I met Tom, yeah.
Yeah, we had a wonderful time. But we were somebody named it, what were we, the Dames of the Dead.
The Dames of the Dead? That's a good one. Yeah, I met Judith, Russ, and Kyra last year.
All great people, my dear friends.
Yes, I love them. They were great. I'm supposed to do an interview.
Oh, yeah.
I'm supposed to do an interview with Judith soon for the 50th anniversary, and I met Tom earlier this year. Tom is Tom. You know, he's just sitting there. You know, doesn't really have much to say. He'll sign your autograph, but that's about it.
It depends on when you catch him. He's a really funny, wonderful guy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen him during panels and stuff, and he's a funny guy. You know, good storyteller.
Yeah. Very good storyteller, and he's done a lot. You know, he's worked in Tarantino movies, and
I love those.
As an actor, he's a really good actor, and he's a very talented, special effects person. Also, Greg Nicotero, who has The Walking Dead, is a very good friend of mine, and we're all like one big family. I think once you work with a George Romero movie, everybody's connected, and we all realize how lucky we were to work with George and be a part of his family. Mm-hmm. So we're all close. We're like brothers and sisters, all of us. Nice.
That's so good. That's so great.
Mm-hmm.
One last role I wanted to bring up. You did an episode of The Equalizer.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it caught my eye because... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, did you watch it?
I didn't watch it, but when I was looking it up, it caught my eye because you got to work with Saul Rubinek, and he's a favorite actor of mine.
Oh, neat. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah, that was I played an assassin from Smith College. So I was once again the girl next door, but an assassin. Yeah, that was fun working with Richard. I've had the great opportunity of working with wonderful actresses and actors throughout my early career. Really. I left the career when I was in my late 30s. And I'm 63 now. I'm doing a film. I just booked a film called Feast of the Seven Fishes, where I play an Italian mother.
Nice.
And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's an ensemble piece. And I start shooting that in January in West Virginia. And... like I said, I'm back and forth to New York a lot, starting to audition for things, and it's nice. It's a nice age, nice time to be an actress, growing into yourself, growing into my voice, growing into, myself as a woman and an activist and a mother and a wife of a husband for 35 years, and my mom. Yeah, so we're a big family. Dad was in Night of the Living Dead, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was, I heard.
I just wanted to make, George Romero always, whenever George spoke, like at MoMA, when they did the new, the redux of Night of the Living Dead, and at the Museum of Modern Art in New York, they had an evening where they played it, and George got up and thanked my father for beginning his career, because George came to my dad, and because everybody watched Schiller, and he said, "We're making this movie, Mr. Cardille, we'd like you to be in it, blah, blah." And so when Dad did it, he would plug it all the time. plug it,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped get it off the ground. So now it's like one of the best top 50 movies ever made. Most influential.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dad plays himself, Bill Cardille. He's the announcer.
Yeah. I got to make my feature film debut this year, and I'm so happy about that.
What was it?
I don't. It's too early to talk about it, but I'll tell you this. I got to co-star with Linnea Quigley.
Mm-hmm. Great.
From Return of the Living Dead and so many classic horror movies. It was
wonderful.
It was so nerve-wracking but awesome because I'm such a huge fan of her. And
wonderful.
She directed the movie too, so we'll see.
Oh, great.
I'm only in one scene, so we'll see if I make the cut, but at least I got to do it.
Yeah, good for you. Well, I can't wait to see. I'll ask you for your autograph.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, do a lot of people listen to your podcast?
Not a lot of people. My very first one has gotten the most views on YouTube of any, and that's over 1,500. And I'm lucky if I'll get 20 views sometimes. Most of the time, they look.
Right, well, let's hope they listen. Let's hope they listen to this one. They should.
Well, they all. So many people have watched the first one because one, it was the first one, and two, I was interviewing Diane Franklin from Better Off Dead, and they all know who she is. I interview really like obscure people that only like 80s movie fans would know mostly.
Right, like me.
Yes.
That's great. I love being obscure.
But everybody should know you because you're awesome.
I'm awesome. Thank you, dear.
My pleasure.
No, George is awesome. You wrote a wonderful part. I was lucky to play it. And as I said, it keeps getting more popular as time goes on, and I keep meeting fans around the world, and it just gets bigger and bigger. George's work will live on, and I'll always be a 30-year-old woman in that film, which is nice.
Yeah. Do you have any convention appearances coming up?
No, I don't. I usually just do a few a year, and I usually do them around Halloween, maybe one in the spring. It depends. I'm pretty choosy what I do, but I'll let you know. We'll be in touch.
Oh, I would love that.
My email. Well, yeah, we'll stay in touch, okay?
Okay.
That'll be great.
Thank you so much, Lori, for taking the time tonight. I know it's late over there.
Oh, it's okay. It's my pleasure. It's really nice talking with you.
You too.
And I'm glad that my book, I'm going to tell,
yeah,
called An Offbeat Tale of Survival. It shows the mind of somebody that's remembering their past abuse and what one goes through emotionally. And I chronicled that process for people that are going through that similar thing, that feel crazy at the time. And I hope that this book will, you can get it on Amazon. I hope that it would help people. All proceeds of the book goes to help children of abuse and abuse causes, sexual abuse causes. So that's that.
Yes, a very inspiring tale that everybody should pick up a copy of. What year did you write that book?
2000.
So it should still be in print, right?
Oh, it is. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on Amazon, on the internet. You can probably even download it and read it on your phone.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lori, and Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, happy holidays to everybody, and to you too. And keep doing what you're doing. Be creative. Always, every day, get up and do something. Even if, not for the sake of it being famous, but for the sake of being creative. You find so much in yourself by just letting it out and following your strangest thoughts and ideas, and just keep following that and putting it down. And I can't wait to come and see your movies.
Oh, would you like to read that script I told you about?
Sure, that would be great.
Okay, I'll send it to you after I'm done here.
Okay, great. And we'll be in touch, okay?
Okay. Merry Christmas, Lori.
You too, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Lori Cardille. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Lori. That was a great interview. You're such a sweet lady. Very endearing, awesome, un-PC, which I love. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Twitter. Add me as a friend on Facebook. Join my comedian group, the whole 9 yards. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Kovac, Tommy Throwback Kovac, saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Merry Christmas, dudes.